Hey, hey, hey! So we're back with another book review. So as you all know, I reviewed all of the books in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I do realize that's the first book in the series, but there are more books. I'm not going to list all of the books in the series, but I do highly recommend all of the books in the series. So, yeah, go check that out if you haven't already. But today, we're going to read another book by Sarah Maas. And this is The House of Earth and Blood, Crescent City book number 1. So this is a different series. It builds, I don't want to say it builds off of the Thorns and Roses, because it doesn't necessarily. They're kind of different, two different worlds, but I estimate that they will collide at some point. It's kind of like if you picture that universe as a globe, and the A Court of Thorns and Roses happens over here, and then Crescent City is kind of over here. So it's kind of like they might be in the same universe, but like a different world, if that makes sense. So, or a different part of the world. So, let's go ahead and read the summary. Alright, it says, bound by blood, tempted by desire, unleashed by destiny. Bryce Quinlan had the perfect life, working hard all day and partying all night, until a demon murdered her closest friends, leaving her bereft, wounded, and alone. When the accused is behind bars, but the crimes start up again, Bryce finds herself at the heart of the investigation. She'll do whatever it takes to avenge their deaths. Hunt Athalar is a notorious fallen angel, now enslaved to the archangels he once attempted to overthrow. His brutal skills and incredible strength have been set to one purpose, to assassinate his boss's enemies. No questions asked. But with the demon wreaking havoc in the city, he's offered an irresistible deal. Help Bryce find the murderer, and his freedom will be within reach. As Bryce and Hunt dig deep into the Crescent City's underbelly, they discover a dark power that threatens everything and everyone they hold dear, and they find in each other a blazing passion, one that could set them both free, if they'd only let it. With unforgettable characters, sizzling romance, and page-turning suspense, this richly inventive new fantasy series by #1 New York Times bestselling author Sarah J. Maas delves into the heartache of loss, the price of freedom, and the power of love. And I just want to say, like, this is a hardcover. This is the outside of it, and then this is the inside. How beautiful is this artwork? Like, that's absolutely incredible. That's one thing I have to say about Sarah Maas books. Like, I'm not saying that she illustrates them, but she gets some pretty good people. There's one other. As with the other books, it has like a map of Lunathian and, you know, where you're at and then different little places on the map. So, without spoiling too much, this book is extremely thick. There was, I don't know, 96 chapters, something like that. Close 90. Well, I have 97 right here. 97 chapters and then an epilogue. So it's a very long book. I actually didn't read this book at all. I listened to it on Audible. It just happened to be what was going on, and I started another book which has gone viral on TikTok, which I am now reading. It is called Butcher and Butcher and Blackbird, and it's about a serial killer. It's serial killer romance, basically. And so I'm currently reading that, so I didn't want to like read that and read. I don't like to read two different books at the same time, if that makes sense. Like, I can listen to one and read another and keep them straight, but I can't read both of them and then keep both of them straight. So I did not actually read this one. I actually had a hard time getting through chapter 1, and told my husband, I was like, yeah, it's a no, because I was gonna start reading this book. And then that other book came up, and I was like, no, I'm going to read that one. And I think I was in the middle of If He Had Been With Me. So it's a whole mess. So, yeah, I didn't actually read this one. I listened to it, but I have to say, very, very good. If you are a fan of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, you'll probably like this. You'll probably really enjoy this. This has fallen angels, like archangels. It has directly like demons, witches, different kinds of supernatural characters than the Court series. So, with that said, I feel like this book is pretty good. I mean, it's pretty engaging once you actually get into it. I think what I had a hard time with was pronouncing some of the names, because authors, and I'm not necessarily complaining, it's just, if they would present the name or like a glossary at the end where like it has a name and then it has like the pronunciation, that would be great for me, for people like me, because I want to know that I'm saying it right, because I'll start saying it a certain way, and then when I hear it on Audible and I hear it a different way, I'm like, that's not right, you know, in my head. And usually I would say the Audible, because the author gets to like review that, would say that, yeah, that's the correct pronunciation, or gets to whatever. Anyway, that was kind of the only thing. There's a lot of very, very weird names and things that happen. Otherwise, Bryce is just your ordinary girl. I mean, Bryce Quinlan is not an extraordinary name, really. Her mother's name is Ember. Her father's name is Randall. You know, and Hunt Athalar, his name is actually Orion Athalar. But if you don't know, Orion is a constellation out in the stars, in the sky at night. And it's also, Orion is the hunter. So his name's Orion. He doesn't want to be called Orion, so he changed his name to Hunt, like hunter. So I find that really, really cute and clever, by the way. But this is a very, very slow burning romance. You're going to have a ton of action. And sometimes they'll get like really, really close to like getting together, and then something happens, and it always splits them up. And I have to say, the crime is solved at the very end of the book, and once you find out like who is really responsible for it and who perpetrated everything, and there's different things, right? And I think there's different people responsible for different things, and once you find out like the truth, it's mind-blowing, the way that the story is kind of weaved, and I'm sure that there were clues, but I didn't guess this book. I didn't guess who you know, and I'm really good at whodunits. Like, I think I had an inkling, maybe like very early on, just because it's always the person you like least suspect, right? So, you know, everybody is a suspect, but so in a way I suspected who it was, but I didn't fully suspect that. And I think that was very well written. I feel like the story, the characters are very well developed. Bryce, from the beginning of this book to the end of the book, she is very extremely intelligent. She lets people perceive her as this rich, spoiled party girl, who is kind of maybe dumb or flaky or flitty, and she is everything but. Like, she is extremely intelligent. She just lets people assume that of her, because it gives her an advantage, you know, and sometimes it gives her information, and she's very unassuming, so people don't think that she would be smart enough to think of things or try things or do things or know things, so that people tend to like open up to her and talk to her. And I feel like it's just very well written. You know, Hunt is the exact opposite of her. He is the person who comes out and he's very extremely intimidating. People don't think he's soft at all, stupid at all. They don't think any of that of him. And I'm not saying that he is, really, but it's kind of like Bryce is very like, she'll come off as a shy and timid and like blink her eyes a lot, and because she's pretty, you know, she gets her way sometimes and kind of worms her way into certain things, and people are very unassuming of her, and it's a big mistake on their part, honestly. But this book is very well written. The plot is interwoven. I don't like this book as much as I like the court books. I just don't. I'm not engaged with the characters. I'm not relating to them as much. But worth a read. Definitely, absolutely worth a read. I mean, I was interested in this enough, and like Sarah J. Maas, she impressed me enough with the first series that I was like, no, we need to get this in hardback. And it's not cheap, y'all. It's really not. But it's a very good book. On a scale of 0 to 5, I'll go ahead. We'll give it a 4 out of 5. It's not a perfect story, and it's not the best that I've ever read. But, you know, towards the end, you know, things happen, and not everybody makes it through the book. And I was crying. I was bawling. Like, it's just so sad. And I hate it when authors do that. I absolutely hate that. But I think that's the goal of any author, is to evoke a strong emotion. And I feel like, you know, sadness, when you get, like, there are characters in this book that made me angry too. You just want to reach through the book and punch them. You just want to punch them, you know? And so the book is very well written. Like I said, I don't like to do many spoilers, because I feel like you need to read this book. You know, I don't want to give too much away, but I will say that in the end, the person responsible for a lot of it is not who you would suspect. It's just not. And, you know, I will say that after I read it, and after certain things happened, and after her friends were killed, I had certain suspicions about things, and I was because I watch a lot of true crime, and I read a lot of, I don't want to say true crime novels, but they're crime fiction, and whodunits and murder mystery and things like that. And I was sitting there and I was like side-eyeing it, and I was like, I bet you it went down like this. And I would tell my husband, I bet this, or I bet this. And he's just like, yeah. And, you know, as somebody who writes, you know, maybe I could use that in a future book of my own. But it's interesting because, you know, talking with my husband while he's listening to it, and the different theories that we came up with after listening to the same thing, it's quite interesting. I love how authors are able to do that. So I have to say, like, it's not going to be who you think it is. And you're going to be epically angry, okay? And you're going to want to reach through the book and throttle someone. You just will. And that's okay, because I did too. But I do highly recommend this book. I'm going to grade it 4 out of 5. Really love this book. I think there were rumors that this was going to be a TV series. Something was going to be a TV series. Was it the court series? I don't know. Anyway, very, very good. This series has 4 books so far. 3 books so far. So, and I think 1 just came out. So we're on the first book. Listen, all 3 of them are pretty thick books. They're 97 chapters. So, just be aware of that. But it's definitely worth it. You do get multiple points of view. You go from Bryce's point of view. You get Hunt's point of view. So you get to understand things from a little bit different. Whereas with the court series, you really don't get that. You know, it's mostly from Feyre's point of view. And then later on, she expands and has other characters kind of pipe up more and more often. So, highly recommend. Let me know if you have read this book. If you have, let me know what you thought. I want to know everything in the comments. Please, no spoilers. But just be aware, if you watch this video, I didn't give any spoilers, but I may not delete comments that have spoilers in them. You know, I want to have like a good discussion about this book. The reason I post book reviews is because I want other people to talk about it with, kind of like a book club. But I don't want to actually go out to a book club. Does that make sense? So, like, you know, y'all are my friends and y'all are my book club. So if you read this book or have read this book, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And if you want a more thorough review, you want like more information, spoilers included, I will post this. Well, I will have posted my blog already, but my blog is on my website, beautifullyfearless.com. The link is on there. But yeah, I always post more detailed reviews on my blog. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Like this video if you like this video. Don't forget to go follow me over on the Instagram. What did I say? Like this video if you like this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Ring that bell icon to get notified whenever I upload a new video, because you never know what kind of content is going to pop up over here on this channel. I thank y'all so much for watching. I love y'all very, very much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!